Hey everyone, and welcome to another Marks & Crafts review. Today we're going to be reviewing another Capcom figure, but this time it's something a little bit special but also a little bit scary. So this is the Pop-Up Parade Chun-Li from the Street Fighter series. Now this is the first Pop-Up Parade from the Street Fighter franchise, and the first sort of regular release, non-Prime 1, non-crazy huge figure from Chun-Li in a very long time, and in Street Fighter in a very long time, because mostly it's either Bishojo figures, which they haven't made in a while, or big like quarter scale statues or posable Storm Collectibles SH Figuarts. This is the first like proper statue that is easy to get in a very long time. And unfortunately, it's a pop-up parade, which means that there is a little bit of a gamble on if it turns out good, if the sculpt was any good to start off with, quality control issues, all sorts of things. And I've got a long history with Pop-Up Parade, which is all chronicled on this channel. A lot of the misses haven't made it onto the channel, and won't make it onto the channel because I don't want them there. But things like the Zero Two or the Ray Iron Army or the Pop-Up Parade Union, all of those ones are on my channel, and you can see my thoughts on it and my general thoughts of the brand as a whole. Thankfully, there are some really good hits, like the Pop-Up Parade L Guts, which I reviewed recently. That was fantastic, really showed that they can still make good things, but I take that as an exception to the rule, not necessarily proof that they are good from here on out. Anyway, just wanted to clear the air on that, just before I have a look at this Chun-Li, which I'm not expecting to be amazing, but I could be surprised. I know that they will be doing a Kami soon, and there is 2 more for Street Fighter 6, one of them being Luke and one of them being a newcomer. I forgot who they are. They're like the Graffiti Ninja. I forgot their name. But apparently they're exclusive to the collector's edition of the game, so that sucks. Anyway, let's have a look at Chun-Li and hope that she's good. And so, out of the box, here we have the Pop-Up Parade Chun-Li. And it's just okay. So my evaluation of a figure is sort of like a percentage scale. Imagine like a bar just here, and each sort of part of the body or structure of the figure has different value. And you might think it might be like, 10, 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever. You might think that I'll sort of give equal percentage to each part, depending on how important it is to the figure structure or how predominant it is to the figure. So like you might say, oh well, most of Chun-Li are her legs, so if they did the legs right, that's good. And yes, you're correct. And for most figures, it's pretty important to get the body and color and things like that correct. But I think the most important thing for a figure is to get the face right. I would put the most value on the face. I'd say like 60% of what makes a figure good is the face. So the details on the eye, the color, the expression, the face structure itself, and even the hair, because that's part of it. Because if you screw up the hair, the character's basically unrecognizable depending on who it is. Case in point, the quintessential quintuplets. If you change the hair on a lot of the figures, then they'd look like different characters. And that's the point. So why did I sort of have that little spiel? It's because I don't think this looks like Chun-Li. I think it's an okay face. I think the figure itself is fine. But I don't think this reads as Chun-Li. And I think that they should sort of make it obvious which Chun-Li this is meant to be. I think they're going for 5, I'm not quite sure. But especially from here, this could be literally anyone. It's like the most basic generic face, whereas Chun-Li has a much sharper look. Her eyes look a little bit like more fierce. There's something there in her expression and detail and things like that. But this is just like woman in Chun-Li's outfit. She's got a very like sort of almost square jaw, but it's a pretty round face. And it's just, there's no personality in it. Like, I know it's a serious ready pose, but like you can have a lot of personality and things like that. Like, it looks okay there, but I think it could be sharper, it could be better. Like, even Street Fighter 6, where they've drastically redesigned Chun-Li, I still think it looks like her. And that's really, really important. This looks like just a person wearing Chun-Li's outfit, and that's just not really that cool. I hope that the Cammy that we get will have like a better face, because Cammy's got a very distinct look as well. But I wanted to get that out of the way so you know sort of how I approach my thought process on figures in general, that it's always the face that holds the most value. But if, say, the face takes 60% of this figure, then the remaining 40% are the thighs, because Chun-Li is nothing without her thighs. It's basically a playable character at this point. Thankfully, they're quite muscular, quite well detailed, and there's actually shading on them, which is cool. They've actually like detailed up the legs. While the paint job isn't the most consistent, it still looks pretty good, and the shading really sells you on it being stockings. You don't normally have stockings in this sort of color, but it is incredibly iconic to Street Fighter and incredibly iconic to Chun-Li. And I really like that. I love the divine muscle detail, love the color, love the shading. And the pose is fantastic. That is a Chun-Li pose. It's just that ignore the face. And that's definitely Chun-Li. But yeah, I quite like that the legs did like do what they need to do. The big, thick, muscular legs, and in a really good pose to show that off. Her boots, while they are quite simple, the molded detail is quite good. I also like that it is bent here to show that her shoes are meant to be quite flexible for the maneuverability and attacks that she has. So I like that. The gold trim on her blue dress, it's nice, but it does feel inconsistent, and yeah, classic Pop-Up Parade. Just, it's not in the lines. There's a lot of paint bleeding all over the place, but that's pretty standard for these sorts of figures. Again, the blues a little bit inconsistent, but mostly okay. The gold trim could have just been a bit better. I don't know, some reverse washing is probably all they need. The front bit's not too bad, but unfortunately that's the bit that's covered up. The white sash looks okay. It's a little bit of a messy paint job, but I don't know if that's to... Oh wait, there is actually detail in there. There's like a pattern in there, but it's like hidden behind a pretty messy paint job. That's a bit of a shame. I didn't know she had detail in the sash. I don't know if that's a new thing or not. Shows how much I know about Street Fighter. The torso looks good. The massive spiky bracelets look good. Her hands are in good poses. I like the ready pose of the hands. Weirdly enough, they've sculpted in some nails. I don't think they've sculpted all of them, but they're all unpainted. I'd rather them paint the nails as well, or not at all. On her ear, you can see the paint off her earring is bleeding onto the ear a bit. And it also looks like it's just part of the ear. Like it doesn't really feel separate at all, which is a bit of a shame. Her little hair buns look nice, and even the gold work on them is pretty good as well. Hair color's just, it's alright, doesn't really have much to it, but then again, Chun-Li's hair's pretty simple. But yeah, it's just okay, and that's mainly because of the face. And like normally I evaluate figures based on paint, sculpt, issues, things like that, but I think I've already gone through that. So basically, the good, the bad, and the ugly. No, she's not ugly, she's just very plain. And there's just no character to it. So yeah, I don't know, should I do that as a evaluation from now on? The good, the bad, and the ugly sort of thing? I actually wouldn't mind doing that. But there might be some copyright type stuff. So anyway, there's a decent amount to like about this figure. It's just that, but personally, I have issues with the face because that's pretty much make it or break it for a figure, at least in my opinion. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess one more thing we should do is size comparison. Now, this is a continuation on from my Guts review because I didn't have a Pop-Up Parade on hand out of box to compare them to. So Chun-Li, being pretty much the standard of Pop-Up Parade in terms of scale, is next to the Pop-Up Parade L Guts. And while Guts is hunched over, he does still stand taller, but not very much taller. We'll have to wait to see more Pop Up Parade Ls to see the direct comparison in terms of sizes, and then the XLs later on. But yeah, that's pretty much how he stands. I wish that the Guts was a little bit bigger, because he is sort of meant to be the showcase of the Pop Up Parade L line, and he just looks like a dynamic Pop Up Parade, which that in and of itself isn't a bad thing either. I also forgot to talk about the Hockey Puck base. This is pretty much what we'll be getting for a lot of the pop-up parades in the future. I know that 02 was the first one to incorporate it, and that was not a good figure, and that base made it look even cheaper. I also know that Aigis from Persona 3 has got it, which is a shame because the other Persona characters, even though they're all from 5, have hexagon bases. And I also don't like the Aigis. She doesn't look that good. And Chun-Li's got the circular base as well. Now, I don't know how many pop-up parades will have the circular base from here on out, but it does feel like that's the new standard, which is a shame because it's also during the price hike of pop-up parades in general, and the base makes them look way cheaper. I don't have too much of an issue with it with this Chun-Li, but I do think it does devalue the figure quite a bit. While I don't like the hexagons, they are better than nothing, and usually they did add a little bit of colour to the figure. I know that Pop-Up Parade were looking for an answer for the hexagons, but I don't think this is it. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much what I think about the Chun-Li figure. I'll get the Cammy, but from then on, it's pretty much, I'll wait and see for pop-up parades if they're any good, or if it's something that I cannot miss. Like, I was excited about the another pop-up parades that I mentioned in the Guts video, but it just looks so meh. It could literally be anyone. But yeah, I'll just wait and see how it goes. Hopefully the Ace Attorney ones turn out, because I would like to have them, but I also don't want to chance it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.